Hey, it's Silver Dollar here with the top 14 of 2014, looking at the highs and lows of the past year in Realm of the Mad God. Number 14, Hacked. So Realm of the Mad God went from this, what we all recognize, to this. It got hacked, taken offline, replaced with some pretty malicious JavaScript code meant to steal information. The forums got hacked as well, so that was basically the end of the Wild Shadows era as we knew it. Sort of the leftovers from the previous developers of the game. There were also a number of fame exploits throughout the year, some worse than others. This was one of the sort of particularly bad ones. The devs have definitely had their hands full, but that's life, I guess, with any online game. And hey, the Realm of the Mad God is still alive and strong. Number 13, skins and reskins. So something that really marked 2014 was the release of tons and tons of skins and reskins. There's our good friend Stanley the Bunny for the Easter release, and he was joined by the Wand of Excellence, beautiful, designed by Linkshot Susan Wylam. So there's good and bad with all these skins and reskins. I mean, it unfortunately doesn't really add a lot to the game. It's more just for vanity, collector's item type thing. It does allow community members the opportunity to, develop some content, even if it is minor. There's that stupid troll sword that I never got. Horde for Halloween was a good idea, but not really executed that well because it always got steamrolled, and I don't think anyone actually saw a zombie. Skins were a bit hit or miss overall. I mean, it was nice to have the new content, but I think it always left you wanting something a little bit more, wanting something that actually had an impact on the game. So there's a ton of them, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Number 12, the bosses. So this year they released a number of dungeons that consisted only of a boss. So they got rid of the entire lead up to the dungeon. This basically, I think, allowed them to release more content that required a lot less testing, but still gave players pretty enjoyable experience and the opportunity to get new items. So I think it was pretty welcomed by the community. Belladonna's Garden was one of the early ones that came out, and it was pretty simplistic, but it had some fun elements to it. I think I popped on a night pretty early on, which was unfortunate. Then they came out with the Lair of Shaitan, which is actually one of my favorite dungeons. They made it hard to do. It's fun with a group. It was almost impossible to solo, but BTEL can solo anything, I'm pretty sure by this point. And yeah, it was had an element of danger. Only downside is it barely drops its white bag, but pretty good to see. And then finally they released another boss, Janice the Door Warden, which was the entranceway basically to get into the Lair of Shaitan. So the order was a little bit backwards in which they released it, but it was pretty cool to have them all come out. And Janice was pretty cool. This disco floor going on and neat shot patterns. So all this stuff was welcome. And based on the release notes, it looks like they're going to be putting out more of these boss-like dungeons. And when you go see Craig, the little intern there, you'll actually have some choice as to which boss you want to face. So it might not necessarily be Shaitan's all the time. Something to look forward to. Number 11, IDAWS. IDAWS released the first version of a Realm of the Mad God fan game earlier in 2014. And this is it here. It consisted basically of you just fighting an orcs-like figure standing in the middle of the room, shooting out just a huge slew of bullets. Great bullet hell experience. And then later in the year, he followed up with a dungeon version, and it ended up with this boss here at the end. It was really cool to see a community member make a pretty full-scale game, and it's definitely something that looks like he's going to develop further. So if you haven't seen it already, check it out. Number 10, bug fixes. So you know what they say, great things come in small packages, and this is certainly the case with the number of small updates over the course of this year. The team really fixed a whole bunch of small quirks that have been bugging, a ton of players. So the biggest ones for me was adding a number toggle for the XP and fame and your HP and MP bars, so you can actually see how much exactly how much health and mana you have. They also really launched a bit of a war against the spam and stuff. I think they had some spam protections before, but they really just weren't working, and players were finding ways around them, clearly. And then finally, constructs no longer claim to be impervious to non-mystic attacks. So that's for all the OCD people. Thank you, Number 9, Layer of Draconis. So the Layer of Draconis finally got released. It initially came out in 2013, but then was quickly shelved when there was a number of bugs, I guess, that came out from it. And now it took quite a while to come out, so that's why I didn't end up putting it higher on the list, but it is actually one of my favorite releases of the year, though. I mean, it has 5 pretty interesting bosses to fight. It's challenging, it's pretty well balanced. You can do it with different size groups, and it still ends up being pretty fun. The item drops a little bit of a letdown. I mean, I wouldn't complain if I got them, but they're definitely not in high use. I think the best one is probably just that star that drops from the wyvern, the final boss. They did a really good job at releasing it too. I don't know if you remember, but they had the pretty large giveaway, so any gold you put into the game, they ended up giving you a whole bunch of keys for it. Number 8, sets. We're talking about item sets. The first one that came out of the year was the Orcs Awesome Set for Knights, and I think that is actually the official name for it, or at least according to RotMG. And there it is. These sets totally blew my mind the first time I saw them. I guess I'm easily amused, but there's the Swall Paladin set, and that one all drops into Candyland. The Orcs one was dropping as, I think, reskins for a while, and it was also tradable for a while too. So, and when you put all the items on, your character transforms. So very cool, I think. They're going to be releasing a lot more of these. The Priest of Geb set, I think this one's already out, but it's hard to get, very expensive at the moment. And soon to come out is the Skull to the Re-Ghosting set for Rogues. That's a mouthful. So look forward to those. Number 7, NPE. I finally started a new player experience. So sorry, shameless plug, but it took about 2 years and I finally started a proper one, and we've been continuing it pretty good. I guess we're up to episode 19 and definitely have a bunch more coming. So thank you to everyone for watching those. And also should just give a quick shout out, honorable mention to Cybersnip's Sprite World montages. Number 6, Rebalance. Following up from Pets, there was a number of problems with the balance of the game getting thrown off. So not only was it easier to play, but there were a number of classes that weren't being played as much anymore. And this was especially true for the support classes. So Priest, your Paladin, your Mystic, people just weren't playing them as much because you didn't really need heals. And your pet was basically doing all the work. They added what was called Wiz modifier, so now your wisdom stat actually has an impact on your character, and it affects the amount you can heal and the duration and range, and as well as the mystic ability. They also added a curse effect to the mystic. Cool. And for paladins, you now do an insta-heal. There's a bunch of other small tweaks, boost to speed and dex, but overall should make the classes more playable, so very nice change. Number 5, records.
Hi, Jagnov. From all of us in Night Owls, sorry about your loss.
That loss, of course, was his Huntress, which he accidentally died on in the Godlands fame train, I'm pretty sure, when he wasn't paying attention. I think it was Hot Pocket related. He was taken over shortly afterwards by Dami, who cracked the 300,000 fame mark. And I think he's still on top now, so really good job. And there were some other big fame-related records this year, too.
Whoa, look at the announcement.
What did it say?
Congratulations.
Whoa, what the fuck? What?
Yo, what the fuck?
What? Who did that? What the heck? I'm getting so many PMs. I'm getting so many PMs. What the heck, kabam?
The 100,000 mark of living fame was short-lived as well, with Iarkani now crushing it with almost 200,000. Number 4, the Alchemist and Tinkerer. Kabam introduced these 2 new features to the Nexus. First, the Tinkerer, which basically let you turn in garbage items and eventually get a reward for it. So you can either get these fortune tokens, which you can then go use to play the alchemist game, or if you had a tarot card, the final item you'd put in would be the tarot card, and it would give you a better reward, like a skin. So the first bunch of rewards were slime skins for all the different characters. Now, the Alchemist was a bit like a mystery box, part 2. You can play the Alchemist with gold or with one of those tokens that you get from the Tinkerer. Once you play, spins around, you get, the chance of having 2 of the 3 items that are shown to you. Bit more interesting than mystery boxes, so better on that point. And the quests, at least it gets people logging in every day, so, all in all, not too bad. Kabam's got to make his money somehow. Number 3, Puppet Master. Finally, we got a new dungeon, the Puppet Master's Theater. And this is actually a pretty neat concept, I thought. All the enemies are scaled down versions of the different characters that you can play, and they all sort of have modified versions of your ability. So it makes for a pretty interesting dungeon. It was a good concept. I mean, the graphics or the, pixel art is just a, rip off the old Guildhall, but, pretty good gameplay, and we have a new source for attack pods. So, pretty fun. It's nice to see these, full-size dungeons with the actual rooms in addition to the boss room. And there was even like little mini orcs bosses. So this was, really nice to have this dungeon get put out. And hopefully there'll be more content like this as we go into the new year. Number 2, Kabam. Now, I know what you're thinking. This isn't actually in Realm of the Mad God, but I have it as number 2 because it could have a major impact on the game. So Kabam announced in December that it's shifting its focus to mobile games, and it sold off a ton of its social games, like online computer games. Now, it didn't sell Realm of the Mad God, but it could be a sign of their shifting focus, where they're going to spend their money. And we had Koala P recently leave, so hopefully it's not a bad sign for the game, but keep it in mind. Number 1, Ice Cave. I put this as number 1, not just because it was the latest thing to be released, but to me it's a good sign that Kabam is still committed to the game, and it's an awesome, form of content. It's an entirely new dungeon, nice new sprites, very cool, features with the whole ice sliding thing, and you have to clear the whole dungeon before you get to the boss. So there's a lot of good elements to it. The boss fight's pretty interesting. Who doesn't love the Yetis? MRRRT. Yes. The creepy, weird, dark spirit, mirror image monster things at the boss. Very interesting. You can do it alone with a big group. Got some necromancer drops. So, all in all, for me, if they keep making content like this, very good sign. That's it for 2014. Hope you guys had a great year, and may you get many white bags in 2015. Thanks for all your support. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that. Appreciate it very much.
SLVR DLLR.